Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the fire. Long, long ago, in the ancient city of Babylon, the world felt very large and very grand. The rivers ran wide through the golden plains, the palace towers touched the sky, and everywhere you looked there was the gentle hum of a great civilization at rest. King Nebuchadnezzar sat upon his throne at the center of it all, powerful, proud, and surrounded by the finest minds his kingdom could gather. Among those minds were 3 young men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Brought to Babylon from the faraway land of Judah, they had been carried far from their families and everything familiar. Yet even in this foreign place, something in them remained untouched, a quiet, steady, unshakable faith in God. Not a loud or boastful faith. A deep one. The kind that sits still at the center of a person, like a calm river that nothing can disturb. They served in the king's court with wisdom and care, respected by all. Life moved like a slow, warm current, and for a time all was peaceful. But then the king had an idea. He ordered a great statue to be built, a statue made entirely of gold. It rose 90 feet into the sky, towering over the flat plain of Dura, gleaming like a second sun. The king was immensely proud of it, and he sent word across every province. All the governors, nobles, and officials were commanded to attend the dedication and bow before the image. They came in their thousands. A great sea of people spread across the plain before the golden statue. Then a herald's voice rang out. When you hear the sound of the music, the horns, the flutes, the harps, all playing together, you are to bow down and worship the image of gold. And anyone who does not bow will be thrown immediately into a blazing furnace. The music began. Its notes rose and swelled, and like a field of wheat bending in the wind, the crowd slowly lowered itself to the ground before the golden statue. All except 3. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego stood where they were. Still upright. They did not look around in panic or whisper to one another. They simply stood, eyes forward, hearts at rest, as the music played on all around them. It was not long before word reached the king. Certain men of the court rushed before Nebuchadnezzar with accusation in their eyes. There are 3 men from Judah, they said, who refused to bow. They ignored your decree. They did not worship your gods, and they did not bow before the golden image. The king's face darkened. His fury rose like a storm on the horizon. He commanded the 3 men brought before him at once. And so they came, walking calmly through the palace halls, into the presence of the most powerful king in the world. Even in his anger, Nebuchadnezzar offered one final chance. When the music plays again, bow and be spared. But if you refuse, the furnace is waiting. Then he asked the question that filled the room with silence. What God will be able to rescue you from my hand? There was a long, unhurried pause. And then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered, their voices gentle but utterly unmoved. We do not need to defend ourselves. The God we serve is able to save us, and he will save us. But even if he does not, we will not serve your gods or worship the image of gold. Even if he does not. Those 4 words lingered like something sacred. These were not men demanding a miracle. They were men whose trust ran deeper than any outcome. The king's rage erupted. He ordered the furnace heated 7 times hotter than usual, so ferociously hot that the roar of it could be heard from a great distance and the air shimmered around it. He commanded his strongest soldiers to bind the 3 men and cast them in, tied tightly, robes, turbans, and all, and carry them toward the furnace mouth. The fire was so powerful that it consumed the very soldiers who carried them, right at the edge of the flames. And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego fell into the heart of the fire. The king watched. And then something stopped him. He leaned forward slowly. He rose from his seat. His voice, when it came, was barely a whisper. Did we not throw 3 men into the fire? Yes, O king. Then why do I see 4 men, walking freely in the flames, and the 4th looks like a son of the gods? There, in the center of the roaring furnace, where nothing should have lived, for figures moved in the glow. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego walked unhurried through the fire, their bonds gone, their bodies unharmed. And beside them moved a 4th presence, radiant and calm, unlike anything the king had words for. Nebuchadnezzar rushed to the furnace opening and called out to them. "Come out," he cried. "Come here." And they walked out of the fire. The crowd pressed close in silent astonishment. Nobles and governors examined them carefully. There was not a single hair on their heads that had been singed. Their robes were completely unscorched. There was not even the faintest smell of smoke on their skin. The fire had touched nothing at all. The king stood before these 3 quiet, faithful men, and something in him shifted. His voice, which moments ago had thundered with fury, now filled with wonder. He declared that no god of any nation had ever done what the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego had done. He honored the 3 men and issued a decree that their God was to be respected above all others, for no other God, he said, could save in this way. And so Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego returned to their lives, still gentle, still faithful, still carrying that deep and quiet thing within them that no fire could reach. They had been bound and walked free, surrounded by flames, and felt no heat. They had stood in the most terrifying place imaginable, and had not stood there alone. That is the most tender part of this whole story. Not simply that the fire did not burn them, but that in the very middle of it, someone was there beside them. A presence walking with them through every step, right through the heart of the impossible. And so tonight, as your breathing slows and the world grows soft around you, let that image rest gently in your mind. 3 men standing still in the middle of a raging storm, not because the storm was not real, but because they knew they were not alone. And whatever you are carrying tonight, whatever feels heavy or uncertain, you are not walking through it alone either. Someone is there. Rest now. Be still. Let go of the day. Good night.